You know, we all think we know how to save money. We do what we've been told, right? We put our cash in a safe place and just assume it's growing for our future. But what if that feeling of safety is just an illusion? Let's peel back the curtain and see what's really happening to our hard-earned savings.
And look, it makes total sense. We follow the path everyone else is on because it feels secure. It feels like the responsible thing to do. I mean, it's the advice we've heard our entire lives from our parents, from financial advisors, from basically everyone.
And these are the usual suspects, aren't they? Pension funds, provident funds, your standard savings account. These are supposed to be the bedrock of our financial plans. So we set up those automatic payments every month, and then we forget about it, trusting the system to do its job. But is it really working?
So you might look at this and see a 6% annual return and think, hey, not bad, my money's growing. But then this quiet, invisible force, inflation, comes along and takes a huge bite out of it. And suddenly, your real return is, well, it's tiny. Your money isn't just growing slowly, it's practically treading water.
Okay, and this gets us to the absolute heart of the problem. The old rules we used for retirement planning, they just don't apply anymore because the numbers themselves have totally changed. Let's break down this new and, frankly, kind of scary retirement equation.
All right, here's the first part of our equation. Even if we're really diligent, on average, most of us only manage to squirrel away about 15% of our income. Sometimes it's a bit more, but a lot of the time it's less. Just hang on to that number, 15%.
Now here's the other side of the coin. While we're saving that little 15%, we are living on 100% of our income, right? We get used to a certain lifestyle, our home, our vacations, our daily cup of coffee. And the whole point of retirement is to maintain that lifestyle, to fund 100% of our life with that 15% we saved.
And then comes the final massive variable in the equation. Thanks to modern medicine, which is great, we're living way longer than ever before. So it's not at all unusual to spend 30 years, that's 3 full decades, in retirement. All of that has to be paid for by that relatively small pot of savings.
Just let that sink in for a second. You're saving 15% of your income to fund 100% of your lifestyle for maybe 30 years, all while your returns are barely beating inflation. I mean, when you lay it all out like that, you can see the math just doesn't add up. So what on earth is the answer?
But we have to start thinking differently. If the old familiar doors aren't getting us to financial security, it's probably time to start looking for a new one. And that means looking beyond the conventional stuff and exploring a whole different class of assets.
And this new door leads to something called alternative investments. It's just a broad term for assets that aren't your typical stocks and bonds. We're talking things like real estate, private equity, maybe even fine art. But the whole point is the hunt for higher potential returns, returns that can actually outrun inflation and maybe, just maybe, solve our retirement equation.
Now, while there are a lot of different alternatives out there, the source material we're looking at really zeroes in on one area that's become, well, impossible to ignore: cryptocurrencies. This is a new frontier where the potential for really significant growth exists, precisely because it plays by a whole different set of rules than the old system.
Okay, I know exactly what you're thinking. The second I say crypto, the word risk starts flashing in your mind in big, bright red letters. And you know what? You're not wrong to think that, but we really need to have an honest chat about what risk actually is.
This is the #1 question, right? It's the biggest hurdle for most people. You see the crazy price swings, you read the wild headlines, and it all just seems chaotic and way too dangerous. And that is a completely valid concern. But let's try looking at it from another angle. This right here is the fundamental law of investing. It's the one rule that never changes. Those safe investments we talked about, they feel comfortable because they offer low, predictable returns. If you want the potential for returns that can actually change your financial future, you have to be willing to accept some degree of risk. The two are just inseparable. So, here's the crucial shift in mindset we need to make. The goal isn't to find some magical risk-free investment. Spoiler alert, that doesn't exist. The real goal is to understand risk, to respect it, and most importantly, to manage it intelligently as part of a bigger strategy. It's a tool, not a monster hiding under the bed. So how do we actually do that? Well, it really boils down to 2 core ideas. First, the old classic, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's just diversification. And second, when you do decide to step into a market like crypto, you do it responsibly. That means doing your homework, starting small, and really understanding what it is you're putting your money into. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? It's that a modern, truly smart portfolio can't just ignore these new asset classes anymore. Real diversification today means having a small, responsible, and well-informed piece of your portfolio in alternatives, like crypto. That's what gives you a fighting chance at real growth.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Take a really hard look at where your money is right now. Is it just sitting there getting slowly eaten away by inflation? Or is it actually positioned to help you build the future you want? The old way might feel safe, but maybe the biggest risk of all is doing nothing.